All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling something that's shaped our world in ways you might not expect.
Oh.
Yeah, the historical tension between business owners and workers.
Interesting.
I know. Sounds a little dry, right?
A bit.
But trust me, this is going to get really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
We've got this great article
Oh, yeah.
called Why Was There Tension Between Business Owners and Workers? And we're going to use it to, explore how this whole thing played out.
Makes sense.
But more importantly, what it means for us, today.
Right. Because it's not just ancient history, is it?
Exactly. So, to kick things off, what pops into your head when you hear about this tension between business owners and workers?
Well, I guess the first thing is just the word tension, right? It's like this constant push and pull between, the people who are seeking profit and those who are seeking fair treatment.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
It's been there throughout history. It's kind of a fundamental equation that keeps getting, rebalanced over and over again.
It is a tug of war, isn't it?
Totally.
And sometimes that tug of war had some serious consequences.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially for the workers.
Yeah.
Like the article talks about workers back in the day struggling to even buy food,
Well,
even though they were working these crazy long hours.
wow.
Can you imagine
It's hard to even fathom.
working 12, 14, 16-hour days and still not having enough to cover the basics?
That's where that conflict, that tension really hits home, doesn't it?
Totally.
The article illustrates this with a simple diagram. It really stuck with me.
Yeah, I saw that.
It contrasts those incredibly long working hours with the tiny amount of rest those workers had.
It's wild.
Oh, it's almost like two totally different worlds, clashing.
Right. Like on one hand, you have...
From the owner's perspective, it's all about time equals money. And maximizing profit often meant, pushing workers to their limits.
I wonder if they ever, if the owners ever thought about the human cost of all that.
That's a good question.
Like the impact on families, the community.
Right.
I mean, hey, at least things have gotten better, right?
Well, in some ways.
I mean, safety-wise.
Oh, for sure.
That graph in the article, wow,
Yeah.
shows how much workplace safety has improved. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that decline in accidents is striking, to say the least.
Uh-huh.
But it's really important to remember
What's that?
that didn't just happen.
Right.
It took a lot of effort. Workers, they had to band together,
Mm.
form unions, organize, and even strike.
To demand better conditions.
Exactly. And it worked.
It did.
Remember the table that changes over time?
Oh, yeah.
The minimum wage laws, the 40-hour work week?
Huge.
Those were massive victories
They were.
for the entire labor movement.
And speaking of early labor movements,
Yeah.
I found this fun little tidbit about the Knights of Labor.
The Knights of Labor.
Yeah. One of the first major unions in the U.S., they had a secret handshake.
No way.
It's true. Isn't that cool?
That's so cool. It's like
Oh,
those online groups today,
yeah.
finding strength in numbers.
Totally.
But those early movements, they faced a lot of pushback.
I bet.
Like the article talks about strike breakers.
Oh, yeah.
People hired just to
mess things up.
undermine the strikes. Can you imagine the
That's
tension?
intense.
It wasn't always peaceful, this fight for workers' rights.
No kidding. But the article ends on a more hopeful note, right? Saying it's all about finding a balance, the needs of business owners and workers,
Right.
a system where everyone benefits,
Absolutely. And that's something to remember.
What's that?
This isn't just ancient history. This tension, this search for balance, it's still going on.
Oh, yeah. It's all around us.
Think about the gig economy, automation.
Whoa.
It's like history is rhyming, not repeating.
Rhyming.
Yeah. We're facing new challenges now.
To make sure everyone is treated fairly.
Exactly. And to ensure economic security for everyone.
That's a good way to put it. Rhyming history.
So as we keep going, as we dig deeper into these modern challenges,
Yeah.
we'll see how understanding this, historical context can help us.
To navigate today's workplace.
Right. To navigate the complexities.
Sure. I like that idea of history rhyming,
Right.
It ties into those four big things the article talks about.
Oh, the sources of tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the low wages,
Huh.
the crazy long hours,
Right.
unsafe working conditions.
And, of course, the lack of job security.
It's like those problems never really go away.
No.
They just change with the times.
They morph, they adapt to the new context.
Exactly.
Each of those factors,
Yeah.
they represent like a fundamental point of
friction.
Friction, yeah. Where the needs of, well, owners and workers just clash.
And it's been going on forever.
It really has. Take low wages, for example.
Okay, low wages.
The article mentions, how workers felt.
How they felt.
Undervalued.
Oh, yeah.
Like their hard work.
Wasn't being.
Fairly compensated.
Right.
But on the other side, you have the owners.
Focused on.
The bottom line.
Profits.
Exactly. They saw labor costs as, well, an expense.
Something to be minimized.
Minimized, yeah.
So it's like...
two different languages.
Almost.
Yeah.
Workers are talking about fairness and respect.
And owners are talking about efficiency.
And profit.
And that gap in communication, man, it can lead to some real problems.
Oh, for sure.
Remember that example from earlier?
The worker struggling to buy food.
Exactly. That kind of situation.
Yeah.
It breeds resentment.
Makes sense.
It fuels the desire for change.
It's a good reminder that this isn't like some theoretical debate.
Right.
This is about people's lives.
Absolutely. Real people, real families.
But the good news is, workers fought back.
They did.
They didn't just accept those conditions.
They organized. They formed unions. They went on strike.
They demanded change.
Pushing for laws to protect their rights.
To improve their conditions.
It's really inspiring.
It is. Their resilience, their determination. Have you ever been in that situation?
Where I felt undervalued.
Yeah, or like you weren't being treated fairly at work.
Oh, totally. It's amazing how
what?
How that frustration, it can turn into...
Motivation.
Yeah. Speak up to make a change. It's like
something clicks.
Yes. And you realize, hey, I deserve better.
And that's what fueled those early labor movements.
Exactly. They realized they were stronger together.
Power in numbers.
By working together.
They could actually make a difference.
And they did.
They did. Think about it. Minimum wage laws.
Early 1900s.
The 40-hour work week.
The 1930s.
All those safety regulations.
It's incredible, really.
It's easy to take it for granted.
It is.
All those hard-won victories.
But those were battles,
Fought by real people.
Who risked their livelihoods.
To demand a better system.
And that struggle, it continues.
We're still figuring it out, aren't we?
Yeah. How to balance the needs of businesses with the well-being of workers.
It's an ongoing challenge.
Absolutely.
Right.
The conversation isn't over.
It's more relevant than ever.
With all the new technologies.
New ways of working.
New challenges to the old ways of thinking about work.
Feels like we're at a
crossroads.
Yeah. A point where...
the past informs the present.
And the present shapes the future. Are we on the right track?
That's a tough question. A tough question. And a complex one. But I think...
What do you think?
The key is learning from history. Recognizing the patterns of tension.
Yeah?
And, striving for solutions that benefit everyone.
Finding that sweet spot.
Where businesses can succeed.
But workers are treated fairly.
And have the opportunity to build a good life.
Sounds like a delicate balance.
It is.
One that needs constant attention.
And adjustment.
But isn't that true of any relationship?
You're right.
It's about communication, compromise.
Being willing to adapt.
You nailed it. And that brings us to...
To what?
The heart of the matter.
Which is?
How do we take all these lessons, all these insights from history...
Yeah.
And apply them to today's challenges?
Now that...
is the million-dollar question.
And I don't think the answer is going to be simple.
Okay, so we've talked about the history.
All that tension between business owners and workers.
Right. And how those big problems like low wages,
unsafe conditions,
lack of job security.
Right, they keep coming back.
In different ways.
Yeah.
But now, let's get to what's happening right now.
Okay. The present.
In your world, what are the biggest challenges for workers today?
Well, the gig economy's got to be up there.
The gig economy.
Yeah, it's like exploded, hasn't it?
It has.
More and more people. Freelancing, contracting.
Instead of traditional jobs.
Yeah. On the one hand.
What?
It's flexible.
Right. People like that.
Autonomy, being your own boss.
What?
But there's less security, isn't there?
Often, yeah.
Fewer benefits and those worker protections we talked about.
Yeah.
They're often missing.
It's a trade-off.
It is. Like we're trading stability for freedom.
And we don't know how it'll all play out.
Exactly. It's still unfolding.
It's like be careful what you wish for, right?
How so?
We wanted more flexibility and now...
we're facing the consequences.
Exactly. And then there's automation.
Oh, yeah. A whole other can of worms.
It could change everything.
It could revolutionize industries. But what about jobs?
People losing their jobs.
Displacement. And, the gap between the rich and the poor.
It could get worse.
It could. Automation makes things more efficient,
creates new opportunities.
but it also eliminates jobs.
Especially for people in, like, manual labor.
Routine tasks. It's complicated.
No easy answers.
It really makes you think.
About what?
Are we preparing people for the future?
The jobs of the future.
Yeah. Are we investing in education and training?
It's like we're at this
turning point.
We can't just wait and see what happens.
No, we need to be proactive.
Find solutions. So what makes you hopeful?
What gives me hope?
Yeah, what are some of the paths forward?
Well, more people are aware of these issues, right?
That's a start.
It is. They're talking about it. The need for a fairer system.
A more sustainable future.
We need to move past this us versus them idea.
Oh, I see.
Businesses and workers, we're all connected.
We're all in this together.
Businesses need workers, workers need businesses.
We need a system that works for everyone.
That's the goal.
Like we're all on the same team.
Yeah, exactly. So what can we do?
What actions can we take?
Well, education is key, right?
Training programs.
To help workers adapt. And we need to rethink those safety nets.
The benefits.
Yeah, provide more security. Because the old ways are changing.
And maybe the most important thing.
What's that?
Talking to each other.
Collaboration.
Ah.
Between businesses, workers, and the people making the laws.
Find common ground.
Create spaces for dialogue.
To work towards solutions that benefit everyone.
That's what it's all about.
Building bridges instead of walls.
And everyone has a role to play.
We can stay informed.
Support policies that help workers.
Advocate for change in our own workplaces.
It starts with awareness.
And awareness leads to action.
We can shape a better future.
A future that's fair,
equitable,
and sustainable for everyone.
Well said.
So there you have it, our deep dive into this fascinating and often challenging relationship between business owners and workers. We hope you've learned something new, that maybe it sparked some new ideas, and hey, maybe even inspired you to make a difference. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the topics that matter most.